that the structure creates. It allows me the ability to be more spontaneous. It helps you become even stronger being who you are. Does that make sense, Tyler?
I wasn't expecting to talk this long.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to GrovTalk. Her words were, what? GrovTalk is an interview series on all things growth, personal development, leadership, and how to grow your business. Stay tuned to hear from business owners, entrepreneurs, and people who have a story to tell.
Maybes will kill you.
Welcome to this episode of GrovTalk. Today we have Nikki Malcom from NFM Enterprises. GrovTalk is a video series based on growth, everything from personal development, leadership development, and how to grow your business. And Nikki, if you can, just kind of introduce yourself, maybe share your background and where you are today.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Tyler. I appreciate it. My name is Nikki, as he said, with NFM Enterprises. It's my own business that I started as of November of last year. And I've been in the aerospace industry over 20 years, almost 22 now. And about 17 of them were selling metals for various distributors. And then I went into testing, so environmental testing, vibration, temperature, altitude, things like that. And then I started my own business as a manufacturing rep, and I'm supporting 5 local Pacific Northwest aerospace companies to further develop their sales and their strategies, as well as doing sales coaching and strategy consulting.
That's awesome. What made you want to get into the aerospace industry?
I sort of fell into the aerospace industry. I have always loved airplanes. I used to go to the air shows with my stepdad and get the baseball cards with the pilots and go to the airplanes and have the pilots sign them. So I've always been interested in aerospace, but I didn't in space as a filing assistant, and I worked my way up from there.
Very cool. So starting your business during a pandemic. So how did that go? Was that a planned scenario? Is that a goal you always had to start your own business? It can be scary, yeah, and exciting all at the same time. How did you do with that? How did that all come about?
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I would say, lemonade stands and washing cars and asking people to babysit their kids. I've been a hustler my whole life, and always enjoyed building a business. And so, yes, the answer is I've always wanted to start my own business. And the answer to doing it during a pandemic is the way that I saw it was a couple of ways. One is we're already uncomfortable. So why not be uncomfortable moving towards a goal that I want to be moving towards? Nobody still knows what the outcome of all of this is going to be. So I might as well be building something that I've been wanting to build rather than just waiting and seeing what's going to happen. So, and the other side of that is I really saw an opportunity to help some smaller companies build up their business without paying for a full salesperson. So, paying for a fraction of a salesperson versus having to pay a full salary for one. And that really gave me the opportunity to help more people. And so that's how I ended up here.
Yeah. What's your approach been during 2020 to help grow your business? Like what kind of tactics have you seen success in?
So for me, just staying connected to people. I think everyone has been feeling very disconnected, especially since we haven't been able to be in person. So just doing everything I can to be reaching out to people. I send notes to people, everything possible to stay connected and really just let people know I'm here. And the way that I'm positioning my business is to support buyers, not to sell. And so I think we both know, we love the book, The Go-Givers, or Never Eat Lunch Alone. Is that the one that you like?
Yeah.
And really just putting the buyers first and trying to understand their needs and going from there rather than what can I do for you, or what can you, and more like what can I do for you than what can you do for me?
Yeah. Yeah, I went through the Sandler sales coaching, Jeff Schneider's business for a while, and there's a
Mm.
uh, big takeaway there, not selling off of your features and benefits, but really positioning yourself as a trusted advisor and selling off of pain. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of that. And, I know you're involved with
Yeah.
PNA.
Yeah.
We are as well, and involved in
Yeah.
PNC. Is there other organizations that you would recommend to get involved with, just to connect with other business professionals, maybe organizations that have helped you? I know the new one that's been coming out and they're being pretty loud is the Leading Ladies events. Those have been pretty big
Mhm.
hit.
Oh, I said all of the local companies like AFA, PNDC, PNA, the ones you mentioned, they're all great.
Mhm.
You're just, as long as you're connecting with people in a meaningful way, you're in the right place.
Yeah. Is there any advice that you would have for anybody who's looking to start their own business right now, or maybe on the fence, leaning towards, the pandemic just happened, that maybe they're out of a job, change of career? Is there any advice that you would give?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say just don't let fear control you. Let it inform you, not control you. Because if you're listening to fear, you're always going to have a reason not to do it and not to jump. And I've spent 22 years considering having my own business. And I can tell you that I had every reason in my mind from my inner critic not to do the thing. And then once I did, once I took that leap, everything really continues to fall into place. I'm working really hard and the things are falling into place that I need to fall into place. So you don't have to have all of it figured out all at once. Just set a goal, make a plan, and take the leap.
Nice. I like it. I love it. So you are you big into goal setting? Do you set personal and
Oh, yeah. Everything. My whole life revolves around goal
yeah,
setting.
walk me through that process. I early on in my career, I was definitely just a wing it kind of a guy, and all I wanted to
Yeah.
do was try and be the best version of myself that I possibly can, improve on myself today, be better than I was yesterday. And I
Yeah.
found, setting SMART goals specifically was a huge game changer in redefining the way I live my life. But yeah, just could you walk me through your process? And it's always interesting to hear how people set their goals, whether it's with the vision boards or whatever the process looks like.
I'm staring at my vision board. You can't see it, but there's one that is in front of me all day, every day, as well as my goal board. And on that, I've broken down to some extent, I have a general idea. I'm still learning in the business that I'm creating right now, but I have a general understanding of what my conversion rate is. And from my conversion rate, I know how many calls I need to make. I know how many quotes I need to get. I know. So I break it down because what you track grows. On my board here, I have, I need to make this many prospecting calls a day, this many prospecting emails a day, go to however many networking events per week. And I have it all broken down, right? I keep looking past me because it's all broken down on a giant whiteboard right in front of my face every day.
Yeah, I love whiteboards. I literally have a 10 by 10 wall of just whiteboards, and they are
I'm
always
everywhere.
they are always a mess. But yeah, so the world is changing, and prospecting has changed a lot through the pandemic. Post COVID, is your prospecting plan going to go back to where it was and what you were doing before the pandemic, or are you thinking that it'll change post
That's a
COVID?
great question. I think that it's going to be a hybrid, right? Because I mean, the fact of the matter is you can get a lot more touches done, but they aren't the same, right? The making a Zoom call is not the same as meeting someone in person, period.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I have a feeling the manufacturers specifically and small businesses who are putting on live events for people locally are gonna gain a lot of traction there. I think that's gonna be a big hit moving forward. I know we're looking at ways just to have more open houses and get more foot traffic through the shop. So post pandemic, that's probably what we're looking at. And then, like you said, a hybrid. I think trade shows will be back, but they'll be different. Do you think trade shows will have the same amount of foot traffic as before? Do you think we'll get to that level?
I kind of lost you. I think the video feed froze up.
Oh, I was just saying, we believe that small businesses and manufacturers who put on their own live events that's going to be a big move going forward, more personalized, whether it's an open house or barbecue or networking event hosted at their facilities. I think that's going to be a big one.
I'm losing you.
Oh, yeah, you're cutting in and out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I was saying was we believe that small businesses put on their own live events is going to be very successful moving forward. A personalized event, whether it be a barbecue, open house, or some sort of lunch and learn event, I think that's going to be big going forward, almost like a mini trade show you put on yourself. But have you learned any new skills during the pandemic? Whether it be business related or not?
I mean, I'm the queen of taking up hobbies, so probably, but nothing's coming to me right now. What have I learned? I mean, certainly I've had to lean on technology more. Thanks to you, Tyler, I learned how to set my DSLR up on my webcam for very fancy footage. And just honestly learning to surrender and let go of what I thought was going to be happening in life in general, right? Learning how to meditate more and really care for my well-being in ways that I didn't do before. So I'd say for me, that's the biggest growth that I've had.
I think the biggest takeaway from COVID for me was the importance of health. They say health is wealth, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but the whole your self-worth is your net worth. I mean, I'm learning that more and more, especially during the pandemic. But let's get personal. Can you hear me? All right.
I read that. I think I lost you again.
Oh.
Have you read the book Psycho-Cybernetics?
No.
So they need to change the title of the name because it's bizarre, but it is an amazing book. I just read it and it needs to be required reading in school. It's all about how to reprogram your self-image and how if your self-image isn't aligned with your goals, then you're going to be swimming upstream the whole time. So it's all about how to align your self-image with your goals so that you can go further faster.
And what was the name of that?
Yeah. Psycho-Cybernetics.
Psycho-Cybernetics.
It was written in the 60s actually, but it's all very applicable to today.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What has been your approach to personal development in your career?
So being curious, asking questions, asking to take on more, asking to learn has been one of my approaches. And then just signing up for all the things that I'm interested in. Next week, I'm actually taking a certification on administering emotional intelligence surveys and quizzes for people and then coaching people through the results of them. So just always learning. I read a ton, as you know, and just continuing to reflect. And I work with a coach, and that's been a massive help to my personal development as well.
Is that like the DISC and Divine assessments and teaching people like communication and how to read people's personality traits, or is it
kind of, but it's a little bit more in depth than that. It's EQI is actually what it's called, but it's about empathy and self-awareness and reality testing and really how to become a better leader through that.
You said you work with a coach. What's
I
your
do.
what's your take on mentorship and coaching? Do you believe it's for everybody? Everybody should have one. Like, would you say?
Yes, yes, and no. Yes and no. I think that it is really important to have, I think everyone should have a coach. The mentorship is an interesting, has always been sort of an interesting thing for me. Uh, I think one of the things that can encourage is for people to not trust their own intuition and their own beliefs, like
Mhm.
constantly seeking out someone else's opinion on things can cause you to not trust yourself, which is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So,
You
but
kind
everyone should have a coach. And I'm not just saying that because I am one.
yeah. Yeah, I've worked with coaches and mentors before, and there's pros and cons to it. I feel like you really have to have the right coach for your personality. And I feel like a lot of people out there who are coaching, it's kind of hard to it's kind of
Absolutely.
hard to have, like, especially if you're like an aggressive entrepreneur who's willing to risk it for the biscuit. I feel a lot of like the tried and true coaches, they have their template that's pre-made or pre-built over like the last like 30, 40 years. And I think the world has evolved so much. It's very, very hard. Do you see that in your line of work? The younger generation being more aggressive or more, I would say, impatient, but at least that's what people tell me.
I mean, not particularly. I mean, there's always work to do, right? There's always development work to do. So I don't know, you know, if somebody is coaching you and using a template, that, I mean, that's not the kind of coaching that I do. Mine is more about asking you questions to help you create insight. I'm not telling you how to do the job. That's consulting.
Mhm.
So it would be curious to me if someone's using a prescribed template for any kind of coaching, unless you're consulting and you're
Yeah,
specific, you have a set goal and that's, to get the person from here to there. That's a completely different type of coaching than what I do.
gotcha. Very
Yeah.
cool. Um, so knowing what you know now about personal development and working in your career, what advice would you give those early on in their career who are maybe uh, trying to get more focused on their own personal development?
I would say definitely the thing that I wish that I had done more of is listened. I wish that I had learned more from the people that came before me rather than assuming that I knew everything when I was younger, because I started in the industry when I was 18, so I was very young. And of course, I thought I knew everything. And so that, looking back, that's the thing that I wish I had done differently, was really taken the time to learn from the people that came before me. I had some great mentors, and those people taught me a ton. And I just think I came into contact with so many other people that I very likely could have learned from that I wasn't open to. So staying open to opportunity, staying open to learning, and just staying connected to the people around you.
That's great. That's great. Back to the goals real quick.
Yes.
How are you tracking your goals? This is more of a personal question because I keep going back and forth on how I should track my progress. I'm just curious, what do you
Mhm.
use to track your goals?
Mm. It depends on what your goal is. Is your goal, well, I mean, if you're up for sharing, then I can support how to track those. Because I mean, I have, personal development goals that are more like meditating and things like that,
Mhm.
that aren't like money goals or things like that, that are a little bit more specific to measure.
Yeah, like so something, would basically, it's not really a SMART goal. It's more of like a, how can you increase your authority in the marketplace? How can you be more influential? Um, it's not really something that you can track, but like, I'm just curious, like some of those kind of wide open goals, you can break them down into like setting a routine and all that. I was just curious if you have like an Excel spreadsheet where it's like your current state, future state, and then like all the steps, like how are you tracking that?
So I have project plans that I make, and it's a future-based project planning template. So it's like what my goal is, what my vision, and then I get really clear on what it's going to feel like to be in that goal. So writing exactly, I mean, down to the specific what I'm wearing when I achieve that goal, so I can get as like into it as possible.
Yeah.
And I learned all of this through my coaching. I took a year-long coaching certification, and this is where all of that came from. And then you write the steps and the rewards. The rewards are the best part. And you write the steps for what you need to do to accomplish that goal in reverse order, so that you're just looking at the next goal. Because a lot of times we can look at our goals and get really overwhelmed with all of the things that go into trying to achieve them, when you just got to take it one step at a time. So writing those milestones out from future based down to like right now, and then just focusing on that bottom one for now and writing a plan for that bottom one. So whatever your next first step is, writing from there. And then for the habits or things that I need to create to achieve that goal, I have another whiteboard that has my month on it, and then underneath it has a goal and habit tracker. And so I write down all of the things that I want to do daily. So mine has things like exercise, do my morning routine. I have a morning routine that I go through, stretching, posting on my page, like all the things. So an example for you is like becoming an authority in the industry. I would get really clear on what that means to you, and then write those steps out and track them.
Gotcha.
And then adjust if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Or change the goal if it changes. Maybe.
Yeah, I think honestly, so often in coaching people, and no one wants to write down a goal because they think it's like set in stone. Like once you write that, that's the only goal. Or once you tell somebody that's your goal, that's your only goal. Come on. It changes. It can change. And it's just a way of keeping you in your comfort zone to not write the goal down. Like write it. And if you change it, change it.
Yeah. I always say the world changes so fast. Why can't we? I feel like a lot of people, they lay out this like red carpet in front of them for their career and their lives, and they try and stick to it.
Exactly.
As the world changes.
Exactly.
So shall they?
Well, and that's exactly when I said, stay open to possibility, open to opportunity. It's exactly that, because you just, if you have this rigid thought process of how your life is going to go, I mean, you're going to put horse blinders on and you're going to miss a lot of stuff. So just like leave them off, be open to opportunity.
Yeah. So kind of what you described on how you track your goals is almost in line with like law of attraction. Are you?
Oh, absolutely. Everything I do is in line with the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you study the power of positivity too? Have you embraced the power?
I think that's Eckhart Tolle, right? Is that him?
So,
No, that's the power of now. I'm not a big fan of his work.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like too slow paced for my brain.
Yeah.
I'm like, just spit it out, man.
Yeah. So business can be overwhelming. Starting your own business can be overwhelming. Do you have any tips that you can share about like resetting your mind? Just like reflecting and resetting your mind?
Yeah, I have a lot of them. Meditation is one.
Okay.
And honestly, I've started, people are going to think I'm so woo-woo, and that's okay. It works. And so whatever, but I've started tapping. And so when I find myself getting really super stressed out, I have a process that I go through that I tap, and it brings me back to present. And the point of that is really anything that can bring you back to the present moment is what to do, because when you're stressed or you have anxiety, you're either living in the past or you're living in the future. neither of those things can exist in the now. So just any way to get yourself back to present and back to right now is what I would use.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of people using breathing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Is it 4-4-7?
It just depends. Like box breathing, you could do box breathing where it's like you take an in breath for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, and then let it out for 5 seconds. But it
Yeah.
just depends. I also have a song that I sing to myself if I'm getting particularly stressed, just anything to like bring back.
Are you big on affirmations? Do you have like
Absolutely.
flashcard
Absolutely.
affirmations? And
I have a journal that I write in every morning as part of my morning routine.
yeah, I used to have like 6 or 7 that I had written out in my wallet when I first got into sales.
Mhm.
And they all just got like destroyed from sitting on my wallet all the time. And I just haven't made new ones yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people that will keep them, just like laminate them and put them on their dashboard.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I probably should have done that. But
live and learn.
yeah,
There's still time.
exactly. Yeah, you never stop learning, definitely. So
We shouldn't
last
anyway.
question. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Stop being such a punk. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But
No, you're not. And she froze.
worked with at that time. Can you hear me?
You froze.
Okay. What did you get out of any of that?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. Besides the stop being a punk.
Yeah.
Now I started in the industry when I was 18, and I'm very thankful that people saw something in me and nurtured that, because I was a challenge. And my message to people would, again, like, just be connect people. Like, your relationships in your business, in your home life, in everywhere are more important than being right. Like, don't lose relationships over trying to be right all the time. Connect and nurture your relationships, and that will take you farther than any class or any learning that you could do on your own.
I love it. Yeah, I was a challenge too. Still am. How
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because the people that I knew in the, like, some of the people that are in the industry, I grew up around them. So it's kind of interesting to talk to them now because they've literally gotten to see me grow up over the last 21 years.
yeah. How can people get a hold of you?
You can just go onto my website. It's nfmenterprises.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn under Nikki Malcom. My phone number is right in my LinkedIn profile if you need to reach me.
Perfect.